Central fall just a point short. They get a top 3 finish in 75 points. So with that said, we'll get things ready to go for the big boys race here, the gold race. Division I squads in this one. We'll have Minnesota, the home team, as the favorites, and we'll kind of highlight some of the individual names to watch when this one gets underway, which it should any moment. This is the Merrill Fishbein Men's 8K. Just about to get underway, and it's cold out here. You can see the athletes just trying to stay warm before the gun goes. So it is 11:10 here in Minneapolis. So any moment we should be underway. And we are off here in the men's gold race, the 2018 Roy Griak Invitational. Everybody gonna bottleneck to the front here in this wide start. This is our third race of the morning.
15 teams in this field, an entirely new top 10. No returners in the top 10 are back for this men's Division I race, so we'll get an interesting new crop of athletes finishing strong here.
Yeah, definitely. Team favorite's got to be the home squad, Minnesota, but you see Duke up there, Drake's there as well. The Navy men, the midshipmen, will likely have a say in this outcome as well. So really, a lot of new names, a lot of faces. As you say, no individual returners in the top 10. Leaves the door open for somebody to rise to the occasion and pick up possibly a first big invitational win on their career resume. Looks like we have a Drake athlete up front early on, hip 85. Let's take a peek at that. That's Maximilian Friedrich up there. Looks like a Duke runner as well, mixing it up. And that's Nikhil Pulamud of Duke up there as well. So a lot of athletes in blue there between Duke and Drake, getting out to an early, quick start. So Duke coming back after a top 10 finish at this meet a year ago. Pulamud was 20th in this race last year.
A lot of blue up front. Kevin Kelly also in the mix. Josh Romine of Duke. Duke and Drake, both in the blue kits. Hard to distinguish, but
do have the big D there for the Blue Devils.
Yep.
A lot of blue. You're right. But it's early. A lot can change here. You know, Minnesota on their home course as the team favorites, they're going to start to work their way up, and you can kind of see their gold and maroon in the background a little bit. But right now, whether it's foolhardy or not, Drake and Duke getting off to quick starts here in this men's gold race. Looks like to the left we have a Harvard athlete working his way up. So Pulamud has the lead through a K at about 3 minutes, almost exactly the pace they went out in the maroon race where the course was running really fast, but this time we have a lot more athletes up front in this deeper gold competition. So it's 3 for Drake in the top 4. So behind Pulamud, we have Josh Yeager, Kevin Kelly, and Friedrich, all of Drake. Drake was 9th in the team competition a year ago.
And in the unofficial team scores through 1K, Duke 61 points, Drake 63. Very, very close. Harvard's right there in the mix too. So Duke, Drake, and Harvard really toe-to-toe right now.
Yep.
In the first K.
Looks like some Drake athletes starting to push for the lead. Pulamud going to hold them off for now. Again, taking the lead early on has proven to be an unwise strategy thus far. So athletes kind of hanging back. It's a smart strategy, at least relative to what we've seen thus far. Still about to approach the first mile. There's the Minnesota contingent all working together. South Dakota State appears to be doing a similar strategy. Pulamud still up front. And here's a mile, maybe just a tick faster than the maroon race, but right about 4:54. So it's 4:55 officially for Nikhil Pulamud, the senior from Duke, with three other guys under 4:56. So as you can see, tightly packed, and we've got a long way to go. Look at Minnesota, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 7 Minnesota guys. So they're in good position with another group of about 5 behind them. So Minnesota's well on their way to what would appear to be a team title. It's early, but Minnesota on their home course, you got a good feeling that they'll be able to perform well in this race.
You know, in contrast to the other races, obviously these guys a little more experienced, and I don't think they're going to show their cards quite as early as we saw in some of the earlier races. You know, no distinguishing pack right now, no one really pulling away. So could kind of play out like this in the next few kilometers.
Yeah, we'll see. Even among an experienced group, there's always going to be somebody that gets antsy, that wants to kind of go for it. So when will that happen, and will it happen, I guess is the big question. Will somebody try to break away at 2 miles? I mean, it's just really hard to – you feel like if you're feeling good at that point, it's tempting to want to just go for it. But in a competitive race as such, you really want to hold back and wait and not move too early. And Minnesota showing why that's a good strategy thus far, now starting to move up gradually. Looks like Navy starting to work their way up as well. Montana State there as well. So Duke has the lead over Montana State through the first mile. Minnesota way back in 9th, but I've got a feeling that's changing and changing fast as they hit 2K there. Get a look at our highly packed leader. So Montana State up there, hip 118. That is Ty Mogan. Ty Mogan now up to the front. A lot of teams working together right now. You can see that from Minnesota. They have kind of 2 packs. So it's Mogan and Pulamud, excuse me, your top 2 athletes. And there you see through the mile. It's been obviously a while ago, but it was Pulamud who's been up front. He's kind of been the mainstay up front. And now I said a minute ago, I thought, Corey, maybe somebody was going to make a hard move early in the race, and guess what? Here he comes.
Yeah.
Ty Mogan, who he's won his only other race so far on the cross-country course. He did that at the Montana State Cross-Country Classic, his home meet. So maybe Mogan feeling pretty good. He did take a look around and maybe kind of decelerated there a little bit to say, oh, I don't want to be the guy that really just goes for it. But Mogan's got a pretty good resume, 14:24 in the 5K, 30:31 in the 10. This would certainly be the biggest win of his career, though, if he could pull this off. starting to build a little gap. But again, we referenced some of the other races. Athletes that made the first move so far in the first two races have not won the race. So there's 3,000 meters at about 8:50-ish.
I think he took your advice. I think he's feeling good, and he's saying to himself, well, why not?
It's actually 9:08 through that split.
And he has a teammate, Colin Buck, in third right there, pulling with him. So Montana State boding pretty well in that front group as Mogan continues to gap the field a little bit, maybe a 10 to 15 meter, maybe a 10-meter lead at this point.
So Mogan didn't run cross country last year, maybe injured or just a redshirt year, so really trying to get off to a fast start in his first cross country season in a couple years. First ever appearance at Griak and trying to make the most of it.
Unofficially through 3K, we still have Duke out in front. You know, things are switching throughout this race. Obviously, it's happening as is, but Harvard, Navy, Montana State, all in the mix. Drake falling off just a tad. Minnesota was 9th at the 1 mile marker, now at 6th.
And that's what I think we're going to see throughout this race is every split, Minnesota is going to be a little bit further up. This is, you know, it's early in the season, and taking a methodical approach and a smart approach, that makes sense for the home team. They know this course. They've run this meet. You know, all these athletes will run this meet every single year, and they obviously had a team plan to run together in this one, trying to get a team win. So I think Minnesota's going to keep creeping up. But right now on the individual side, the story, Ty Mogan, he's the athlete that's trying to make a break for it. And so far, his lead is continuing to grow here. The junior from Montana State, he won his first cross-country race of the season 2 weeks ago on the home course there at Montana State. And he's built a pretty sizable lead here in the early going. Looks like Pulamud and the rest of the field kind of content to just hang back. Got a long way to go. And then you can see Minnesota's basically got their top 5 already. I bet they've now moved into the top 4. So Gophers looking awfully strong. Cutting through the construction area, that packed gravel. Probably the flattest point on the course there as they come through 4K.
I think what we've seen in the earlier races too, though, is, you know, if you get out to a comfortable lead and you start to sort of dip off the pace, it's harder and harder to make up, you know, if you've lost that energy source. And as the pack kind of, you know, pulls in the gap, it becomes harder and harder to meet that move. So Mogan's going to have to kind of keep his foot on the gas pedal throughout this race.
You saw him. He took a little look back there. You never know if that could just be, hey, how much of a gap has this hard move bought me? But it could also be, I moved too early. Got a long way to go. We'll see with him. There is a pack of about 15 that you can see there that they have the advantage of working as a group. Mogan obviously does not. He just has our cameraman and about 3,500 meters in front of him of open space. That is tough mentally and definitely physically as well. And we'll see how he handles this pressure of being the target for every other competitor in this field.
And it looks like Duke has great positioning. 3 guys in the top 15 at least, and maybe they're top 5 in the top 30. Definitely running well through 4K. You know, Minnesota is the team, you know, as you mentioned, that came in as the top returner. So, you know, they kind of have to play the cards right. But I think at this point, Duke looking very good on this course.
Yeah, absolutely. This could be a big run for Duke. I do think, you know, Minnesota will have a say. We're starting to see, just even in the periphery, in the background there, more and more of the Minnesota Gopher colors. There's Mogan again taking a peek. You got to wonder if he ends up winning. I want to know if he was surprised to have built this big of a lead. It's certainly an aggressive move, a fearless move, but to have nobody going with him is pretty surprising thus far, because got about 10 minutes left in the race. Obviously, a lot can still change, but as we approach 5K, that's when the real magic happens.
And as we saw in the maroon race too, we had some very fast times compared to the year before.
Yes.
You know, that should be no surprise. That should happen in this race as well. I think toward the latter part, you know, of this race, we're going to start to see a lot of these athletes really turning it on.
Definitely. Mogan still looks comfortable. He is looking around quite a bit. Just maybe in an unfamiliar spot to have such a lead, and he's continuing to take peaks. Your coaches tell you all the time not to do that, but I suppose if you're winning the race, no big deal, right? So we'll hit 5,000 very shortly. They were 15:22 in the maroon race. Should be a hair quicker here. Catching some deep breaths is Mogan from Montana State. Got to feel good coming down from altitude here to sea level. Maybe feeling quite strong here. So he passed 5,000 meters, about 15:06 on the clock. And it is about a 9-second gap, maybe 8.5 seconds for Mogan between himself and Max Friedrich of Drake. Jake Brophy of Navy has moved into the 3rd position. Alec Baston of Minnesota has moved into the top 10, so we're starting to see more Gophers, but a lot of Duke still up there. Some Navy representation as well. I got to imagine Duke still has the team lead, but Minnesota is starting to move up as well. So Minnesota into 2nd, it looks like. So Duke has the lead over Minnesota. The team scores continuing to populate. Looks like it's going to be a battle between the Blue Devils and Gophers as we move into the latter stages of this race. Although Harvard's still there as well. It's going to be a good team battle here.
And I think this is exactly what you envisioned out of Minnesota.
Definitely.
You know, starting out the 1 mile, 9th place. At the 3K, moving themselves up to 6th, now to 3rd, eventually up to 2nd. Now, what do you have left? How do you close this race?
Yeah. Question is, can Mogan hold on in this individual battle? Lead is still sizable, but man, he's looked around maybe 10 times now.
He's pretty concerned. I think he's wondering why anyone hasn't gone or made a move. You know,
and definitely you can see in the background, it does look like we have athletes, and I think they're from Harvard starting to move up. The lead is still 30 meters or so, but definitely the sense of urgency has increased for these Harvard athletes, and I think that's Alec Baston there of Minnesota. You know he wants to win on his home course, so he's not going to just let the individual title go without him having a say in this. Baston had a nice run a couple weeks ago for Minnesota out at Nebraska, and now they've really started to they need to start trying to reel in Mogan if they want to catch him.
Yeah, I don't know if these teams are just content to let him go and do his thing, and as they battle it out to see who's kind of the best team at this point, you know, what's the more valuable token after this race, getting a team win, performing well under pressure, or maybe having a guy go off on his own and try to grab a win.
Yeah. So 2K, under 2K to go, so quickly we will approach 1 mile to run. Mogan still in control, really showing no signs of cracking, other than, of course, him constantly looking around, which he does again there. He's looked strong most of the way. Can he hold on? He broke away very, very early. There's the Harvard guys. I believe that's Baston as well. But it was Duke with a commanding 26-point lead at 5K. A lot can change over the next 3,000 meters.
And Navy was one of those teams, you know, on the cusp entering this meet. You know, they definitely have to maybe make up some ground in the final kilometers here if they want to move up that positioning. I think the gap's slightly being pulled back a little bit.
Definitely.
You know, as we see in our view, Harvard, Minnesota, they're both closing. You know, Mogan still has control here, but I think we're going to see quite a race in the last 1.8 8.
Yeah, so approaching the final mile. It's been Mogan that's led for about 12 minutes of this race thus far. Feels like it's been an eternity with him up front. There he is once again, still looking strong. But he'll have some pressure, I think, over this final mile, because the pack is slowly creeping up on him. Taking a look at some of the straggling athletes here. Course is running fast, as we've seen through the first 2 races. Should be a winner in around the 24 mid-range. The gap is shrinking between the Chase pack and Ty Mogan of Montana State. There's Baston, I believe, of Minnesota. You can see the gold jersey of the Gophers running with the Harvard athletes in that second pack. Mogan is within the final mile, but can he hold on? He looks like he's starting to slow up, Corey.
Yeah, I agree. I think, these hills eventually, over the course of this race, finally do catch up to you. But he's trying to hold on.
Yeah, trying to hold on. I mean, it's definitely not automatic that he's going to get caught here. It looked like he maybe was tiring, but then he got it downhill and is using that momentum.
Unfortunately, he has a lot of race left, too. But the field, to his credit, the field has really stretched out, too.
Big look there for him. So 2 Harvard athletes. Baston from Minnesota is there as well. Harvard runner going with a T-shirt under the jersey. Don't see that as often. That was a Prefontaine look way back in the day. Yeah, that is Baston of Minnesota there in second. Hugo Milner of Harvard, and trying to get a look. The taller figure there, Hugo Milner for Harvard. Just a sophomore running in second, and this pack here looks like they're starting to reel in Mogan. Let's see if they can do it over this final kilometer. It was a gutsy move by the junior from Montana State, and he's trying to go basically wire to wire in this men's 8,000, pick up his, definitely would be the biggest cross-country win of his career. Can he hang on in this final K? The presence of the Chase pack is increasing with every step, but will they run out of room before reaching the finish line to catch Ty Mogan? Two Harvard athletes, and then Minnesota's Alec Baston. Those are the other 3 men in contention for this victory. Mogan just desperately trying to hang on. He's looking around. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, the turnover needs to pick up for Mogan. He needs to maybe make one final surge if he has anything left.
This just the advantage of that Chase pack, just having him in his sights. Mogan's got to be running with the fear of God in his heart right now, knowing that everyone is pressing for him here. 23 minutes just passed. It's getting close now. This should be a thrilling final 400 meters here.
And as we said before, it's a lot harder if you've expended so much energy in the early half of the race to really make a move in the final portion if you've used up all your resources now.
Certainly. Will this pack of 3 catch Ty Mogan of Montana State, who's led nearly every step of this race and is now trying to hang on for his first victory at Griak?
Maybe about 10 meters at this point closing.
I definitely thought they would have caught him by now, so maybe they're just going to wait to strike in this final stretch, but they may run out of room here. Mogan He's been looking around.
And he's making that turn toward the
Let's
finish.
see if he can hang on. This is going to be a fun final sprint to the finish line. Here we go, into the final stretch. So a Harvard athlete in the T-shirt there, that's 113. That's Kieran Tuntavate. Starting to kick now. Here comes Tuntavate. And he's going to pass Mogan. He waited for the final moment to pass, and now he's striking. That is Kieran Tuntavate of Harvard, who's going to pick up a win. Waited for the perfect moment to sprint away, and he'll get the win in about 24:34. Mogan, just exhausted on the course, will get second. An admirable finish from him. Baston, I think, was third or fourth there for Minnesota. Wow, what a race. Athletes still trickling in, obviously.
3 Harvard runners in the top 6. A very great show.
Wow, Harvard made
from the Crimson.
We'll see what they can do here.
Duke had 3 runners in the top 11.
So there's the results. Tuntavate from Harvard picks up the win, 24-33. Mogan second after all that effort. There it is, Harvard 2 in the top 3 with Hugo Milner in third. Baston gets fourth for Minnesota. Not sure where our 5th place runner. There it is, Friedrich of Drake. And then Harvard, my goodness, 3 in the top 6. It's going to be a tight battle between them and Duke. And also Minnesota should be right there as well. Wow, what a team battle. So we're trying to get team scores quickly for you.
And we are heading to the interview podium to look at the lively interview with Kieran Tuntavate of Harvard.